committee meeting will be on Zoom via teleconference and held at the California Commission on Disability Access headquarters located at 400 R Street, Suite 312, Sacramento, California, 95811. Per Senate Bill 189, the Bagley-Keene teleconferencing restrictions have been suspended through July 1st, 2023. Therefore, committee members are not required to list their remote locations. Members of the public may participate by Zoom or teleconference from any location. This meeting is being captioned and recorded. To assist in this effort, please state your first and last name each time you speak and speak loud and clear. The Stream Text Live captioning link has been included in the chat for your use, and staff can provide the link when asked. Public participants can use the raise hand function to alert the committee of when they would like to speak, and we will also give an opportunity for public members who have been called in to the meeting, at which time they can unmute themselves. If you are attending this meeting via teleconference, please press *6 on your keypad to unmute or mute yourself. If you would like to alert CCDA, press *9 to telephonically raise your hand, and the staff will call on you. To use the raise hand function, please follow these steps. If you're using Zoom via web browser, first click on the icon labeled reactions in the toolbar at the bottom of the screen, the bottom center of your screen. Second, after clicking reactions, a new window will show on your screen. Third, at the bottom right of the screen, there will be a button labeled raise hand. If you're using Zoom via a mobile device, first click on the 3 sideways dots labeled More. The More option is in the toolbar at the bottom right corner of the screen. Second, after clicking More, a new window will pop up at the bottom of your screen, and you can press the raise hand. Please remember to mute yourself if you are not speaking in order to reduce noise. If you are having technical issues throughout the meeting and need assistance, please use the chat function to alert CCDA staff or email ccda@dgs.ca.gov. And I will return the floor to Chair Commissioner Downey.
Thank you. With that, I'd like to move on to agenda item number 1, our roll call. And with that, it's back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you. All right, I will be taking a roll call. Chair Commissioner Downey.
Present.
Can you repeat? I don't think the audio came through.
Present.
All right. Vice Chair Commissioner Holloway.
Present.
Immediate Past Chair Commissioner Lemus. Immediate Past Chair Commissioner Lemus. Commissioner El Hessen.
Present.
Please repeat.
Present.
All right. Commissioner Lillibridge. Commissioner Lillibridge. Commissioner Dillard. Commissioner Dillard. All right. Commissioner roll has been noted. I'm referring back to Commissioner Downey.
Could you advise if a quorum has been established?
Oh, yes, apologies. A quorum has been established.
Okay, thank you. So are there any members of the public that would like to identify themselves? Let's start virtually.
Chair Commissioner Downey, we have a hand raised from a public member, Shannon Mulhall, that would like to make her presence known.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Shannon Mulhall, just sitting in to listen in on how things are going for the accessible parking campaign. It's been a treat working on that project over the last year.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us and for your work on that with that subcommittee. Anybody else?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no other hands indicated that would like to speak.
Are there any members of the public there in person in Sacramento with you?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no in-person attendees for this meeting.
All right, thank you. All right. So with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 2, meeting approval of our prior executive committee meeting, which was held on October 12th, 2022. Assuming all have had a chance to review that, I'd like to hear a motion. Actually, I'll start with any discussion, any questions?
Commissioner Holloway, I'll move approval of the minutes of previous meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, I think we'll move on to a roll call vote for that. So that's back to you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. So starting the roll call vote, Chair Commissioner Downey,
Aye.
Vice Chair Commissioner Holloway,
Aye.
Immediate Past Chair Commissioner Lemus, Immediate Past Chair Commissioner Lemus, Commissioner Elhassan,
Aye.
can you please repeat?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Lillibridge, Commissioner Lillibridge, Commissioner Dillard, Commissioner Dillard. Commissioners' votes have been noted.
Okay, thank you. And has it been approved?
It has been
Yeah,
approved.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, with that, it brings us to item 3, agenda item 3, and that's regarding any public comments on items not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public that would like to speak?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication in the chat of any public members virtually that would like to speak.
Okay. Any member, well, is there anybody there in person that would like to speak? I'll take that
None
as a,
appearing.
okay, take that as a no. And with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 4. And that is the topic of our, just the introduction of our new Vice Chair, Brian Holloway. And so I just wanted to give a formal welcome to this, his first official meeting as our new Vice Chair in the Executive Committee meeting. And it's a really pleasure to have you step up to this role. Thank you for taking the challenge, answering the call. And it's a pleasure to have you here. We've certainly enjoyed and benefited from your involvement in your role, your work, your service with the California Commission on Disability Access. So thanks for stepping up. And I'll like to turn it over to our Executive Director, April Dawson, to see if there are any comments she'd like to add.
Well, I'm just excited to welcome Commissioner Holloway, now Vice Chair Commissioner Holloway, to the Executive Committee. I really enjoy his candor and his wit and kindness and all the things that I've been learning from him over the past 4.5 months. And I'm excited to get to work with you even more in your new role.
Thank you, Chair Downey and Director. Appreciate it very much. So thank you. And looking forward to this new task and working with the staff even closer and the members of the commission and the public. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
And this is Chair Commissioner Downey. I'd like to remind you and others to, if you're there in person, to be sure to be speaking into the mic so we can be sure to hear you loud and clear. So, but thank you. So are there any comments from members of the Executive Committee or Commission that would like to comment on this?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication of any commissioners that would like to speak on this.
All right. Okay. Are there any members of the public joining us via Zoom that would like to address this item?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there appears to be no indication of any participants via Zoom that would like to comment on this agenda item.
All right, thank you. And do we still have no members of the public there in person that would like to address the item?
Hi, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is Phil McFall, Operations Manager, and there are no public members here in the office
Okay,
or in
Thank
in person.
okay. Thank you, Phil. So unless there are any further comments, we'll move on to agenda item 5. And that's the accessible parking campaign. This toolkit and approval. So, and with that, we'll be taking some action, but first I'd like to refer it to, let's see, Abby Ridge, our legislative analyst, and Abby Ridge for a presentation on this topic.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. I'm actually going to go ahead and refer over to our Executive Director, April Dawson, so she can go ahead and give a high-level discussion on where we're at with the project and the timeline. So I'll go ahead and pass it over to you, April.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey, and thank you, Abby. This is April, the Executive Director of CCDA. Can everyone hear me? Because I've heard we had some mic issues. Great. Well, I just wanted to share where we are with the project. First, I would like to thank all of the commissioners who have been involved, as well as all of the community members who have given their time over the past year plus to create this accessible parking campaign toolkit for several different industries. And I'm wanted to just share that the work groups have met several times over the last year, and they finalized their final draft toward the end of December and referred it to the staff. The staff then took their edits and incorporated them into a final draft that was submitted to DGS leadership, as well as DGS Public Affairs leadership, and to the Division of the State Architect. And currently, we are in the process of an internal review of the feedback and edits we received from Public Affairs and the Division of the State Architect. So unfortunately, unlike what it is reflected in the agenda, we're unable to recommend approval of the toolkit today since you don't have a finalized draft in front of you, but we are still very much in play with this project and on track. And we will be having an internal review in January of the edits and suggestions we received from those entities, and pulling back our partners that worked on the project to finalize this toolkit. And so we will be calling the work group members back in February to review the results of the staff internal review of the edits to react to the toolkit after those edits are discussed and decided upon. And then we will be able to move forward at a future meeting. We hope the April meeting to be able to approve the project. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, just one thing. This is Vice Chair Holloway. I just wanted to let the public know that CCDA did something different on this program, and rather
Excuse
than
me, Commissioner Holloway, and need you to speak more, I guess, be more close to the mic or turn it on.
Okay.
Okay.
So
thank you.
one of the things that rather than CCDA and the group working on this, preparing documents for outside receivers, so to speak, whether they be business or the public, what CCDA did, which I think is pretty creative, is they actually put groups of recipients who would normally be receiving these toolkits. And so rather than prepare a document for them, they actually helped us prepare the document to receive by their constituents and their colleagues. And so what you ended up having was a document that had the jargon and the lingo and the thought process and the business procedures folded into this toolkit, so that in essence, the people who would be looking at it and using it actually helped write it. And so I think it's going to be very successful. And one thing I think that's even more important is it's going to be highly received. And so I just wanted to compliment CCDA, you know, Director Dawson and Manager Phil on such great work, and Abby as well, helping us put this together. So kind of a new way of doing things, and I think it's going to be very successful, and wanted to compliment everybody involved on what I think is going to be a very highly received document. That's it.
Thank you.
This is Chair Commissioner Downey, and thank you, Vice Chair Brian Holloway, for those comments. I was unaware of that new initiative to reach out to the constituency groups that would be most impacted by this type of tool. I think that's a brilliant move. So I think that's a great new approach. And so thanks for the initiative taken by staff to make that happen. So I think that's great. I would like to add that with the comments, you know, there's been the issue of the additional comments from the state architect and things. I think it's important to capture that experience for the future, to build it into the schedule, but not just that, but also to capture the specific comments to the extent that it might give us a sort of a leg up the next time we release a toolkit, to be able to better anticipate the nature and types of things that they're anticipating, to better streamline that. And I know there's also the challenge of trying to ensure their sufficient involvement throughout the process to make sure it goes through smoothly and minimize surprises at the end. And it is somewhat of the nature of this work. A lot of it does come down to the final language and final text and things, but trying to capture our lessons from this experience to help us in the future to streamline it. So let's just take advantage of this as an opportunity to help us in the future. But I look forward to having the final approved, the final material during our next executive committee, if not before.
Thank you, Chair Downey.
This is Commissioner Elhassan. I have a question and a comment. My comment is, has anyone seen the PSA that's being put out about the disabled parking spaces? It's a caricature where a person in a wheelchair is trying to park in a space and someone cuts in front and says, "Oh, I'll just be 10 minutes. Has anyone seen that? It's a widely published PSA on TV.
This is Chair Commissioner Chris Downey. I have not seen it. If you have the capacity to find it, capture a link for it and send it to the executive committee or perhaps the staff. You might be able to share it and even post the link to our
Yes.
website.
Right, because
Yeah,
it
this-
directly falls in line with with our mission, and
Mhm.
especially with the
Yeah.
accessible parking campaign right
Yeah,
now.
it is a different topic than this particular toolkit.
True,
so,
true.
yeah.
Right, but it relates in regards to accessible parking.
Yeah.
The second thing is, what role do you see the Education Outreach Committee, which I serve on, as being a partner in disseminating the information?
Hi, Commissioner Dr. Elhassan. This is April Dawson, and I see you as a vital partner. I see all the committees as a vital partner, but especially the checklist committee and the education and outreach committee. The next phase after the toolkit is approved will be a major outreach phase. And so I'll definitely be chatting with you and Commissioner Dillard, who is now the chair of checklist, as well as the executive committee. And in discussing how we can best get this toolkit out to the constituencies that it's meant to target. And we'll also be utilizing the support of the representatives from the different industries, such as Shannon, who introduced herself earlier today, who has been on the toolkit creation committee. So we will absolutely be utilizing your ideas and your committee's ideas for how to disseminate these toolkits and be creative with that and make sure that the constituencies that need them are able to use them in the ways they need to use them.
Great, thank you.
This is Chair
You're
Commissioner.
welcome.
Sorry, this is Chair Commissioner Downey. I'd like to encourage staff in the committee, the E&O committee, if there's no reason to wait, we can do the groundwork, the legwork to get a plan going, so that when the tool is approved and ready to go, the outreach plan is already established, ready to go, and get it out to the community.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Thank you, Chair Downey.
Are there any other comments from members of the executive committee or commission?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised from commissioners in the chat.
All right, thank you. Then we'll turn to members of the public joining us by Zoom. Has anybody indicated a desire to speak?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or chat notifications wanting to speak on this topic.
Okay, and I presume there's still nobody in person from the public to comment on this item? Should I be
Hello, Chair
direct?
Commissioner
Yeah.
Downey. This is Operations Manager Phil McFall. Yes, there's no one still here
Okay.
in the office.
All right,
to comment.
thank you. All right, and our next action was to be taking a vote, but we can't take that at this point. So we'll table that until that the toolkit has been approved, gone through its final editing and approvals process internally before it can come to the commission. So thank you. So let's see. Item 6. So that's brings us to agenda item number 6, and it's focus on 2023 and update and discussion. And for that, I'm going to turn it over to our executive director, April Dawson. So April, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. And I want to indicate that there is a document called Focus for 2023 that I will be going over verbally. There are no images, just for access purposes, there are no images. It is a one-page document that I will be discussing. I'm really excited about the commission and the impact that we will be having in 2023. We'll be able to build on the momentum of past years. And I'm really excited for all the new partnerships that we're cultivating and the projects that are in the pipeline, and also projects that have yet to be thought of and discovered. So first, I want to just share a little bit about sort of how I plan to roll out the focus areas that I'm going to be sharing. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some ideas that are based off of all of the one-on-one conversations that I had with commissioners individually, as well as collectively at the meetings, and also with our community partners that I've met over the past 4.5 months. And what we're going to do is at the January full commission meeting, I will be presenting a larger presentation on the topic of our lens for 2023, which will also include in more detail proposed committee projects. And then I will also be presenting at the April full commission meeting more detailed cost projections and breakdowns, high-level cost projections and breakdowns of the projects that are decided upon. And so I'm really excited to be doing that. And so that is a little bit of the timeline. In April, in particular, I expect to have the cost projections for how we will be spending the high frequency litigant fund that Phil will be discussing a little bit later on the agenda. And that will give the commission an opportunity to actually approve the use of those funds and my project proposal. So what I did with this document, it's really a high level to guide us over the next year, and it will be also turned into individual work plans for staff and different committees. And I tied it to our strategic goals. And so I'm just going to go through and give a high level summary of each of the strategic goal categories and where I see projects fitting into it. So our first strategic vision was to increase disability access awareness. And so what I've been working on internally with DGS leadership is exploring the possibility of CCDA having its own social media presence. That would include us having our own Facebook page and other social media type accounts. Right now, we have the ability to edit our website by internal staff, but we don't have our own Facebook page. So I'm exploring the possibility of us being able to do that. We also have been having conversations with external affairs and public affairs, and we have been able to push CCD out internally with DGS departments, and so that's been wonderful. And we also would like to be able to directly speak to our business and disability constituencies with our own unique voice, while also working with DGS to craft that message as well. And we also have been in conversations with the Division of the State Architect, the Pacific ADA Center, and the Cal Bar on social media posts related to CCDA's work and sharing out access compliance information. And that's already, we're already crafting examples so that we can also leverage the social media sites of our partners. We also are planning to create YouTube videos on access compliance that we'll share out to our partners' YouTube channels. And I'm in the process of trying to see if CCDA could obtain our own YouTube channel. And we would also like to translate existing and future toolkits into languages other than English and conduct outreach to chambers and business associations that serve businesses that are run by and serve minorities, such as immigrants, the LGBTQI+ communities, non-English speakers. And we want to also continue to nest ourselves in larger access and placemaking conversations that are being held by our partners like the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers, the Association of Minority Architects, and others. And that is what we're thinking of in terms of increasing disability access awareness. For continuing to provide training programs and toolkits for targeted stakeholders, which is the second strategic vision. We are planning a spring webinar with the Pacific ADA Center about disability access. And we are on track to put on 4 listening forums in the spring and summer with an emphasis on areas represented in our top 10 data that we collect of the top 10 alleged disability access violations and where they're located. And we are also going to be working on finalizing the Access Compliance Fund and DARF one-pager that was developed prior to my arrival that is close to being finalized. And also, I already have meetings set up and plans to have a meet and greet with the Cal Chamber, as well as the California Business Properties Association's connected trade organizations and partners, so that I can identify needs and potential areas for collaboration so that we can determine development of future toolkits. We also are going to finalize the accessible parking toolkit this year and move into the outreach phase as we detailed earlier. And we are going to be beginning the process of creating our website accessibility toolkit to comply with AB 2917. The third area of focus is identify and promote revenue streams to fund physical access compliance. The high frequency litigant fund is one example of a revenue stream that will do that. And those funds need to be expended by the end of the fiscal year of 2024. And as I mentioned, the staff will present a proposal for spending those funds with projected budget numbers by the April full commission meeting. And funds can be used for projects intended to increase physical access compliant for people with disabilities. And some of those projects are listed elsewhere in this document as potential uses of those funds. We're also exploring the idea of hiring a retired annuitant using the funds to promote technical expertise attached to chosen projects so that we are able to utilize as needed retired annuitants who come from departments that have technical expertise so that we can become more robust in our internal technical expertise for the projects that we do. And we're also going to be attending, as I have been for the last few months, city and county disability advisory committees to share information about access compliance and DARF and how municipalities can utilize the funding to build up their CASP program, which stands for Certified Access Specialist, and help businesses achieve access compliance. The final focus area is maintain data on status of access compliance. And we are working with our CalBAR partners to assist CCDA with legal portal entry compliance. So identifying and educating those attorneys or law firms that are struggling with understanding their obligations around the portal and being an assistant to them and giving them needed training. We also will be conducting outreach to local bar association chapters about CCDA's legal portal, as well as AB 2917, which is the new requirement to send CCDA website alleged disability access violations. And we are also exploring with our HR departments how to secure a legal intern so that we can conduct cross-checking of CCDA's legal portal entries and cross-check them with federal and state court filings so that we can determine gaps in access compliance. So with that, that is my high-level summary of our focus areas for 2023 that are tied to our previously defined strategic goals. And I welcome your thoughts and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Chair Commissioner Downey, and I'd like to thank you, Director April Dawson, for that great look. It sounds like it's going to be a busy year. So it's an exciting list of things to tackle, and look forward to working with you and the staff, the rest of the commission, for making good progress on those things. Are there any comments from members of the executive committee or members of the commission on this item?
Chair Commissioner Downey. Oh,
Go ahead. Okay, so this Vice Chair Holloway, just wanted to compliment April.
Again,
This list,
need you on the mic.
It is very thorough. It is very comprehensive, and it's a really nice surprise because I had no idea this was coming. And it's just great. It covers all the topics, all the charges that we have, and really gives us a good series of challenges moving forward. So I wanted to thank you for this very nice surprise today.
Thank you.
This is Commissioner Elhessan. I have a question about when we're looking at promoting revenue streams to fund physical access compliance. Are we looking at prioritizing, first of all, those areas that we want to focus on, which has been lack of physical access that has been brought up to us from business as well as constituents?
Thank you, Commissioner Elhessan. That's a great question. And yes, when I've been looking at what the gaps seem to be, I've been talking a lot with the commissioners as well as with a lot of the municipality representatives. I've been meeting with a lot of the managers of the compliance funds locally, and some of the things that I've discovered is that sure know what the fund is for, and so
your voice keeps
getting
cutting
that information
in
to them
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
You
not.
fade in and out
I
for some
will.
reason. Okay.
I think it sounds, this is Chair Commissioner Downey. I fear it might be a bandwidth issue. That's what it sounds like from my end.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, not at all. I just wanted to say that it is we're looking at the bandwidth issue of the internet, and I'll try to speak slower and closer to the mic. But that is a great question. And yes, we are taking into account our top 10 violations, as well as conversations I've been having with local municipalities, and also looking at the questions that we've been receiving through our public inquiries.
Right.
To determine you know, the ways that we can identify what are the gaps in funding, access, compliance. You know, what do the people on the ground need help with?
Exactly.
And we're also, yes, and we
Mhm.
are going to be utilizing our listening forums for that as well, just to get everybody in one room and say, you know, what are the needs and what are the gaps and what's available. Thank you.
Okay, one other point I didn't see on your list, and lately I think it's been a real, it's a real important issue, specifically emergency preparedness for people with disabilities, most recently in regards to the floods that have been happening and other prepared emergencies. I know that hasn't been directly our charter to follow through on, but it does cross over many different areas. And basically in supporting emergency preparedness, even for businesses who may have consumers with disabilities, they're just knowing what the best procedure is and handling emergency situations across the board. People with disabilities, we found out with COVID are lastly considered. It's just something I feel it's part of a great deal of access that relates to safety.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. L. Hessen. I've noted your comment, and I can, when I'm revising this document for the January full commission meeting, I'll look at some angles that may make sense for our purview related to disaster preparedness. Even if it could be as simple as helping to share out information on our website about what others are doing and helping to build their capacity through information sharing. Thank you.
That's important, right? Thank you very much. Thank you. No further questions.
Any other comments from members of the executive committee or commission?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised in the chat or via Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. So how about, are there any comments from members of the public joining us virtually on Zoom?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments from the public in the chat.
Okay. So Operations Manager Phil McFall, still nobody else joining us in person?
Well, Chair Commissioner Downey, sorry. No, there's still no one
Okay.
here in the office. Thank you.
All right, just got to check. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So with that, we'll move on to agenda item number 7. That's the Operations Manager report, and I believe, Phil, that's your cue. So can you give us that presentation?
Bill is in the process of getting back to the dais. He had to do something technical.
Okay.
My apologies on my own camera crew today. Thank you all. Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. And my name is Phil McFall. I'm the Operations Manager here with CCDA, and I'm here to discuss some high-level points of Assembly Bill 2164, Disability Access Certified Access Specialist Program, which drives our Accessible Compliance Fund, ultimately our Disability Access and Education Revolving Fund. This was chaptered, so Assembly Bill AB 2164 was chaptered in September 2022. Some of the high-level points that I wanted to talk about, or that I wanted to share today, was that the $4 fee will remain. There was thought that might go back down to $1, but that did not happen. We're going to stay with $4. This is going to allow also the city and county allocations will continue to be 90%. There was a possibility that those would reduce, but they are going to stay at 90%. So the 90% allocation was called a CASP Certification and Training Fund before, but it has now been renamed to the Access Compliance Fund. And this expands the use of the money by providing assistance to small businesses and for construction of physical accessibility improvements. And DSA will continue to receive 10% of this fund. So the 90 will go to the cities, 10% will go to DSA. and that is still called the Disability Access and Education Revolving Fund. Cities report how they will be, and what this does also is it cities will be, or they already are, but they will continue to report how they are spending their allocation to DSA. DSA will provide, and DSA will continue to provide the definition of what a small business is. And on a side note, Executive Director Dawson talked a little bit about the High Frequency Litigant Fund, and I wanted to share with you that there is still $152,000 available for us to use for the High Frequency Litigant Fund that she spoke of a little bit earlier. And with that, I want to pass it back to Chair Commissioner Downey to see if there's anyone for question, comment.
Yeah, so thank you for that report. It's very thorough and very much appreciate it. Are there any comments from members of the executive committee or members of the commission on this item?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments in the chat
Okay.
from commission members.
Okay, is there any indication of members of the public joining us on Zoom that would like to address this item?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or any comments in the chat for this agenda item.
Okay, thank you. And I assume, Mr. McFall, you're still on your own there?
I'm still on my own here,
No.
and there are no comments here.
All right, thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to the next topic in this item, Commissioner Travel. And this is another topic for you, Operations Manager Phil McFall.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. And yes, this next topic will be, as Commissioner Downey said, Commissioner Travel. And I know that we are going to start doing more. We had our October full commission meeting, and so there's going to be more opportunities for commissioners to travel around the state. So I wanted to go over a few things. I know some of this is redundant for a lot of you, so bear with me. But I just wanted to point out a few things that that we as staff are responsible for, and we want to make sure that we get you have the best experience while you're traveling, as well as you know, we're able to efficiently do what we need to do here in order to make things go forward. So one thing I wanted to point out was that we at CCDA, the staff, when we're booking travel, we're planning travel, we have to, as far as your flights and in train and bus or anything that we're using, we need to make sure that we on our end are booking that at least a week ahead of the event. So if it's a full commission meeting, we need to make sure that we are booking travel at least 1 week before the event. And this is something that our travel team has pretty much mandated that we do. And I know this has a lot to do with the pricing. The flights go up after that last week. So we want to make sure that, so when staff, a lot of this is when staff is reaching out to you, and our commissioners do a great job of this, but when staff reaches out, as much as you possibly can, get back to them quickly, because we want to make sure that we are getting the best price that we can, but we are also, you know, staying within the guidelines that have been set forth for us. And so I also wanted to talk about hotels. So there will be hotel stays involved also. So our next one will be in Los Angeles somewhere, and we are currently working on that. But once we get that all ironed out, we will reach out to the commissioners to book travel for those probably in Northern California that will attend in Southern California. And the reason I bring this up is because when you stay in a hotel, it would be very helpful if you could please get your folio. It's called a folio, and that's something that will be provided by the hotel at the end of your stay. And this is something that our accounting department requires us to provide when we are, so we'll pay for it and everything up front. But once the event has taken place, they ask for folio to get an idea of what was spent and how it was spent there at the hotel. So that would be great. And in addition to that, and like I said, everybody's been great about this, receipts. So anything you're needing reimbursement for, that would be travel. So you have your Uber, Lyft, cab, however you're getting around the city. In addition to that, food receipts. Parking's a big one. A lot of garages down, especially in Los Angeles area. So make sure that if there's parking, make sure that you are holding onto your parking receipt. And sometimes it gets a little tricky with the machines. You have to make sure you ask for a receipt. And that's from personal experience. And any other meeting associated expenses that that are needed to be reimbursed, make sure that you are keeping a receipt for those, and then get them to, it's probably best to send them to me directly. So operations manager Phil McFall. And you can also send them to whoever, I would say Abigail Ridge is probably another good person. So probably send them to me and copy her. I can send out some printed information on that as well, on a lot of the things that I'm talking about today. That's really all I wanted to talk about. And I would be open for discussion if you have any questions or comments about that. But I just wanted to have this time as the first meeting of the year. And I thought it'd be good to have a discussion about travel, because it's some things that we're going to be doing a lot of travel this year. And I wanted to make sure everybody's in the loop and feels comfortable reaching out to me, Abby, or whoever to get help if needed.
All right.
And that's all I have. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Chair Commissioner Downey. Thank you for that report. And it's very, very timely, given that we are getting out and about more these days. And the commission hasn't been in the practice of travel over the last couple of years. So it's important to review those items. It's going to be new to a number of the members of the commission who joined us during the COVID times. I'm curious if there's any information we need to have about any per diems, any guidance in terms of limits on the reimbursable expenses for travel. Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. This is Phil McFall, Operations Manager, and that's something I can put together. That's a great, thank you for that idea. And as I was discussing it, I was like, I should probably put all of this in writing. So I will put together a document that I will send out to the commissioners. And thank you for that idea. And I'm noting that, and I will make sure that I put something together with I know there's with the per diem and the limits on the meals and the other nuances that will affect us as travel. So Thank you for the idea, and I will put that together. Okay, this is Chair Commissioner Downing. There might be something in the archive. It's been a long time. I recall there was something about that in the past, but so it might be something you could dust off, but probably isn't that hard to construct. So any other comments from members of the executive committee or commission?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments in the chat from members of the commission.
Okay, then I'll turn the attention to members of the public joining us via Zoom that would like to address this topic.
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments in the chat from members of the public.
Okay, just going down the list, ticking the box. Phil McFall, you still on your own in that space?
I am on my own here.
Okay.
Capacity crowd has no questions.
Okay, thanks so much. Let's see. Next agenda item is number 8, and that's our executive director report. So with that, I'll hand it back over to our executive director, April Dawson. You're up.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. Am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Just let me know if I need to adjust. I'm pretty close to the mic. I would like to share with everyone what has been going on internally, as well as what has been going on with our community work since we last met. So this will cover the period from our last executive committee meeting to now. And I wanted to share that I'm very pleased to say that we have a new Department of Justice ex officio designee, Ben Conway. He will be, I hate to use the word replacing, because I had a wonderful relationship with former Commissioner Safarian, but Ben is going to be the new DOJ designee on the commission. And Ben comes to us from a long career in disability access and rights law. He worked for Disability Rights California, and he is a deputy attorney general with the state of California in their in the division that covers disability rights. And he and I had a chance to chat a couple of days ago via Zoom, and he is very passionate about this. In fact, he specifically asked to join this commission. And so he is going to bring his interest and his passion. And he will be speaking with all of us. He'll be doing a presentation on public meeting law at our January full commission meeting, which I'll talk about a little bit later in my report about what's going on in the full commission. So I'm excited to welcome Commissioner Conway to our group. I wanted to share that talk a little bit about what's going on with commissioner vacancies. The California Business Properties Association candidate who is appointed by the governor to our commission, that person's paperwork is currently moving through the appointments process, and I get regular updates from our legislative affairs unit. And the legislative affairs unit, because the staff of CCDA is nested within an executive branch entity, the legislative affairs unit acts as a go-between between myself and the governor's office, as per administrative rules. And so that is why the legislative affairs unit is who I check with about how things are going with this candidate. And so unfortunately, it doesn't look like we'll be able to seat this person as a new commissioner for the January full commission meeting. But I have hope that we'll be able to seat her for the April full commission meeting. And I keep this person updated, as well as CBPA and as well as all of you. So let's hope that this person can join us soon. We also have an assembly member vacancy. As many of you know, we have 4 ex officio legislative members, 2 from each portion of government, the Assembly and the Senate, and 1 from each party. And we have a vacancy due to the fact that former Assembly member Gwynn is now a state senator. And so I have reached out to the Speaker of the Assembly Appointments Officer, who is going to talk with me about how we could fill that vacancy. And it is a vacancy for an assembly member on the Republican side. And we also have an open seat for a governor appointee representing the disability community. And I have been reaching out to my contacts in the disability community to get ideas for who would be a good candidate for that. And if any of you have ideas, please reach out to me individually. And I'm also in the process of speaking with the appropriate reappointment authorities for Holloway, for Vice Chair Holloway, as well as immediate past Chair Commissioner Lemus. So that is what's going on with commissioner vacancies and reappointments and new commissioners. I also wanted to share that I wanted to congratulate Stephanie on her internal promotion to data and research analyst. And very proud of you, Stephanie. And so we conducted that search, and we were able to end that in an internal promotion for Stephanie for data and research analyst, which means that we have an open office tech position. And Phil and I will be meeting this week to analyze exactly what we would like to seek from that open position. We would really like, ideally, to create an administrative and executive assistant level support, because we're finding that because we're small and mighty, we have a lot of administrative tasks such as per diems and other things that might be better consolidated into a position that was more of a support position for Phil and I, so that we could also free up the staff service analysts, as well as the AGPAs on our team, the analysts on our team, to focus on more higher level work and to support management and the commission. So we're looking into that. And we also received budgets approval for a promotion in place. So our SSA position has been converted to an SSA AGPA promote in place position. And that was something that has been very important to the commission. Some of the immediate feedback that I received when I first started this position is that we are able to attract and train a lot of wonderful people who go on to do wonderful things in state government and elsewhere. But we need to make sure that we're retaining those people and making sure that CCDA remains a competitive place for people of talent to work. And so that is why we want to utilize promotion in place as much as possible. So I'm proud that we were able to do that. Also wanted to share, this isn't an exhaustive list of what I've been working on, but for purposes of this meeting, I have attended a couple of conferences and meetings. I attended the California Foundation for Independent Living Center statewide in late October. And at that meeting, I was able to talk about what CCDA does and to elicit interest from our ILC our Independent Living Center director partners about participating in future listening sessions. And I got a lot of positive feedback related to that. I also attended the Certified Access Specialist Institute, or CASI, conference, and CCDA is very well regarded in that space. And I met quite a few people from several different industries who are certified access specialists. They go to this institute to receive training. Our very own Ida Claire, our Commissioner Claire, was the keynote when I was there, and she was able to give a very generous shout out to CCDA, which allowed me to be introduced to a lot of people who didn't know me. And I also had a really great conversation with Rayleigh's. Rayleigh's is interested in getting to know how they could interact with CCDA better. I also have attended a couple of stakeholder meetings related to the building code rulemaking process. That DSA has a wonderful, or Division of the State Architect has a wonderful group of people called the Access Code Collaborative. And it's people who use code and develop code, including people with disabilities and others, who get together and are able to review proposed changes in the code before it goes to the Building Standards Commission. And so I was able to go to a few of those meetings, and I wasn't able to say hello because it's a webinar format, but they knew that I was there. And I actually had a chance to speak to a couple of the ACC members individually, so that was good. Also introduced myself to the leadership of the Pacific ADA Center, and that's why we are going to be having a webinar with them. I also spoke with the Cal Bar, and I spoke earlier about some of the fruits of that meeting, about how we're going to be doing more social media outreach, as well as outreach to individual bar associations about our work and the compliance requirement for our legal portal. And then I also gave a presentation on CCDA to the California Network of ADA Coordinators last month, and that was a wonderful group. So that is part of my report. I'm going to keep going with what's going on with the full commission and the listening sessions, the listening forums. So at the full commission meeting in 2 weeks, we will be having a presentation by Commissioner Conway on Bagley-Keene and public meeting access laws, or public meeting laws, excuse me, as well as discussing CCDA's bylaws. So there's going to be a high-level presentation about our bylaws. There was a commitment made in 2021 to review our bylaws every 2 years. And so the last time our bylaws were reviewed was 2021. So we'll be reviewing them again now in 2023. So the staff suggestion is that an ad hoc committee be formed to review the changes, present them at the April full commission meeting, and then vote on them in July or October. And so I'll be chatting with Chair Downey, as well as I'll be chatting with Chair Downey about that, as well as prepping that for our January full commission meeting. And I also will be updating everyone on the accessible parking toolkit and discussing the 2023 focus areas, as well as committee projects. So expanding on my earlier presentation. Finally, I'd like to share that the listening forums are on track. We're resuming planning meetings later this month. We took a little hiatus in November and December because people were out for the holidays. But the feedback that we're getting is that late spring, early summer would be the best time, given that COVID is still very much a part of a lot of our stakeholders' lives. And there's a real desire to be able to meet in a hybrid format and not just virtual only. And so waiting until the weather and COVID gets a little bit of a turnaround was ideal for the people we've been reaching out to. And we have identified independent living centers in San Jose, the Peninsula, and Santa Rosa, as well as elected officials in San Jose and a legal partner in San Jose who's interested in participating in our listening forums. And so things are taking shape there, and I look forward to those. We will for sure be hosting one in San Jose and on the Peninsula, because those are the areas that were reflected the most in our top 10 alleged disability access violations in 2021. And with that, that is my executive director report, and I welcome any questions or comments.
Thank you, Executive Director April Dawson. Any comments from members of the executive committee or commission?
Chair Commissioner Holloway, or sorry, apologies, Chair Commissioner Downey. There are no raised hands or comments in the chat from members of the commission.
Okay. Are there any comments from members of the public joining us via Zoom?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no raised hands or comments in the chat from members of the public.
Thank you. Operations Manager Phil McFall, is there still a big echo in your space?
That's correct. There is a big
Okay.
echo. No comments.
Thank you. I'll just take a moment to thank you, Executive Director April Dawson, for that report. It's a lot of really great work, initiative and progress within there. So thanks. Thanks for that report and the work that
Thank
you're
you.
doing. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. Agenda item number 9, financial review. And so that's back to you, Executive Director April Dawson.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. I'll try to remember to breathe and speak a little slower. So I wanted to give a high-level summary of our financials. And I always like to ground us all in where we are with our financial reality and how the process works, as well as what I do as the executive director to ensure that I'm giving the commission a full and complete report of where we stand financially and how I get that information. And so, as most of you know, we are currently in fiscal year 22-23, and the current fiscal year we're operating in ended on June 30th, 2023. Current year spending data is still being finalized. So unfortunately, I do not have current year spending data for you, because rather than pull from the dashboard, I would prefer to give you something that budgets has approved as final numbers. And so I want to share a little bit about what I mean by that. So I have access that I review on a regular basis to a dashboard that has inputted spending numbers on it. And I do have access to preliminary numbers from Q1 and Q2, but they're not finalized yet. And I do meet with budgets monthly, and they've been very helpful. And I wanted to share that the current year budget authority that we have is $1,534,000 plus the high frequency litigant fund of $152,000. And that means that we have $799,000 to spend in personnel services, as well as $735,000 for operating costs. And so that is the current budget that we are operating under now. What I'm showing on the screen is a green and black and white document that reflects our most recent financial report that has been approved by budgets. And that is for end year fiscal year 21-22. It's not much different than the financial report I presented back at the October full commission meeting. It shared that the budget in that fiscal year after adjustments was $1,463,000. We were allocated $744,000 in personnel services. That means, staff and commissioner, staff salaries, as well as commissioner per diems, benefits for staff, retirement, et cetera. And we spent $582,659. So we were only 78% spent on that budget section for personnel services. And that's due in part to staff attrition and taking a while to fill positions, and also leaving some positions open. Our operating expenses for end year FY 21-22, we were allocated $719,000, and we spent $655,760. So we were 91%. And a lot of that, we were almost to budget, but we also, some of the savings can be attributed to the fact that we operated in a virtual environment. So we spent far less on training and printing, for example, less on travel. We did spend much more on departmental services than was originally budgeted, but that's okay. As long as we stick to being within budget, numbers can change amidst categories. The reason why we spent more on departmental services than originally budgeted is that we did some we utilized other departments such as the Department of Finance to help us with some revised budget proposals. And whenever we enlisted assistance from other departments, sometimes there's a cost to that. So that's what departmental services means. I also wanted to share that the governor released his 23-24 preliminary budget yesterday. And these numbers are very preliminary, but I want to share that CCDA in his preliminary budget was given a $4,000 increase. So we went up from the $1,534,000 to $1,538,000. It's important to know that this budget has not been passed by the legislature or signed into law yet, and the May revise could change things. So it is not 100% certain at this point, but it is definitely, hopefully, the increase will hold and we'll be able to have a little more to do our great work. And with that, that concludes my financial report, and I look forward to any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. This is Chair Commissioner Downey. Are there any comments from members of the executive committee or commission?
Vice Chair Holloway, just one thing that strikes me every year is I have no idea how we do all the great work we do in this organization for $1.5 million. It's fascinating to me how efficient and effective this organization is. And it's amazing. And, great job, everybody, making it all happen. One thing I was going to mention here is that in Executive Director Dawson's earlier discussion, she mentioned a number of the organizations that she's met with just since she's come on board, and those kinds of connections and information access and ability to work with a number of these kinds of outside organizations may well require that she become part of that organization. And I'm thinking that maybe the budget needs to add a line item of memberships and dues, because a lot of times with an outside organization, you you may well have more influence as a member than as a guest. And so I'd like to have the opportunity for her to choose where and when she might want to become a member of certain organizations. And we should have that already lined up in the budget. So just a thought. And other than that, great report. Thanks for getting everything done for $1.5 million. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from members of the commission or executive committee?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments in the chat from members of the commission.
Okay, and how about, are there any comments from members of the public joining us via Zoom?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no comments in the chat or hands raised from members of the public.
Okay, thank you. Operations Manager Phil McFall. Got anything
Same
over
story
there?
here.
Okay,
No.
thank you. All right. Let's see. So we'll be moving on to agenda item number 10. Legal portal and legal portal upgrades and and data collection. So that's if I'm not mistaken, off to Stephanie Gross.
Thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. My name is Stephanie Gross, and I'm the Data and Research Analyst for the California Commission on Disability Access. Today, I will be giving a brief overview of updates to the CCDA legal portal, as well as future work that is projected to be done to improve it. In the time since the last executive committee meeting, CCDA staff implemented a few changes that made it easier for law firms to correctly submit their complaints, as well as improve the portal experience. To continue, future work for the portal is going to be focused on complying with AB 2917, specifically the section that states that law firms filing complaints featuring website inaccessibility will have to send that to the CCDA. Staff is currently working on updating the alleged violation codes that can be selected in the portal to specify exactly how websites are inaccessible. These new codes are being written based on guidelines set out by the Department of Rehabilitation and input from various partners who are experts in website accessibility. Finally, at the full commission, I will be doing a demonstration of the CCDA legal portal for new commissioners to demonstrate what the portal is and how it functions. I will return the floor back to Chair Commissioner Downey.
Thank you, Stephanie Gross. This is Chair Commissioner Downey, and thank you for that report. I have a question myself. I'm curious with the new sort of digital compliance issues, the new categories and things. Are those all going to be sort of lumped in together and will sort of sort and filter themselves into those top 10? Or are we going to do anything that separates the two, or is it, have we had any conversation about it? I mean, it might be a function of waiting to see what kind of data is coming in. Some reports indicate that the legal complaints in the digital space are pretty high. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out in our data reporting. But I'm curious if we have any expectations on how that's going to be integrated into the status quo as we know it.
So currently we have the ability to select an option that says a website is inaccessible, but these updates are going to be focused on writing new codes that will talk about that can basically allow the law firm to specify how the website was inaccessible. And we do have things that allow us to sort for like the top 10 and other, basically how many instances of certain violations appear. And we'll have to see right now, when we start getting these cases, that will kind of allow us to see how many, like how numerous they are. Because at this time, I don't have enough information to make an educated guess on that.
Thank you for that response. It will be interesting to see, and it also might be interesting to see if it rises to a level that might start to suggest the need for a tool to address that new need. It's a new data we're tracking, but that's yet to be seen. So any other comments from members of the executive committee or commission on this item?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments in the chat from members of the commission.
Okay. Have any members of the public raise their hand wishing to address this item via Zoom?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments from the public for this agenda item.
Okay. Okay, I dare to ask, but Operations Manager Phil McFall, anybody showing up here late in person?
No comments here.
Okay, all right. All right, so that brings us to agenda item 11. I believe that's our future agenda items. So are there any suggestions of future agenda items from the executive committee or members of the commission? And just as a reminder, our next executive commission hearing is on the next hearing is on January 25, the full commission, and that's to be in Sacramento at the CCDA headquarters. And let's see, and that's will be between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. roughly therein. So any suggestions on future agenda items from members of the commission or executive committee?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments in the chat from members of the commission.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments from members of the public on this agenda item joining us via Zoom?
Chair Commissioner Downey, there are no hands raised or comments from the public on this agenda item.
And once again, off to Operations Manager Phil McFall for a report of any members of the public that might have shown up wishing to address this item.
No comments. Nobody showed up.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 12, adjournment. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Could I have a second?
Vice Chair Holloway, second.
Is there any comments or discussion?
I just wanted to make a point of order that
Mm.
typically the chair doesn't make those motions, so we may want to take that
Yeah,
again.
we can do that. I was following the talking points.
Vice Chair
wonder-
Holloway meant, Vice Chair Holloway meant to adjourn, motion to
Yeah,
adjourn the meeting.
okay. Thank you. And also then I'll need a second.
Second, Commissioner Earl
Thank you. Any other further comments or discussion? If not, we'll turn it over to Stephanie Gross for a roll call vote.
All right, thank you, Chair Commissioner Downey. Chair Commissioner Downey,
Aye.
Vice Chair Commissioner Holloway.
Aye.
Immediate Past Chair Lemus. Immediate Past Chair Lemus. Commissioner Dr. L. Hessen.
Yes.
One more time, please.
Yes. For
Okay.
adjourning.
Yes. Commissioner Lillibridge. Commissioner Lillibridge. Commissioner Dillard. Commissioner Dillard. All right, commissioners' votes have been noted with 3 ayes for all commissioners present.
Thank you for that roll call vote. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.